हा कपडे बिपडे आहेत का बाहेर?
Welcome all again.
Yes, hello.
Yes,
I hope I'm visible. I'm audible.
yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Okay, great.
Just give 2 minutes, sir.
Yeah, sure.
People are joining. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
you are audible. You are visible.
Now, meanwhile, while the people join, let me also do
Yeah.
this check. I'll
Yeah,
try and
screen
share my
sharing.
screen. Screen sharing.
Yes,
Let
sure.
me just-
Sure.
I think there are only 3 people.
हाँ वो देखते हैं एक मिनट. Are you able to see
Yes,
Yeah.
the screen?
yes, sir. It's
We are able
visible.
to see.
Yeah,
देख रहे हैं ना? Okay.
yeah. दिख रहा है.
Yeah.
Secure online, safe and secure online.
ಮತ್ತೆ बोलते मत.
Okay, इसको बंद करना.
So in the meantime, I will just give a small intro of yours, sir, again to the audience.
And ask them to unmute, mute their microphone.
Yeah, you can, if you can control, take that maybe.
Okay, but then I'll have to, you can unmute yourself and Jayan sir. I'll mute all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello all. We are coming up with a very new session of Colonel Jayant Khadilkar from 1976 batch. A very important topic of information security, both digital as well as paper security. We are in this era of digital world, and we have a lot many questions coming in about information security. Even using the Zoop application was a concern of information security and data theft. So obviously this session is going to help us a lot. Just brief about Colonel Jayant Khadilkar, 1976 batch, defense personnel with lot of achievements to his feet, both in government and corporate. Let's hear him out for the further informative session. Thanks all. Sir, please continue.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. And I'm just trying to share the screen. I hope the screen is visible to all of you.
Yes.
Somebody can raise the hand if it is visible. Is the
it's
screen visible?
sir.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
It's visible.
Yeah, okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. And we had a very inspiring talk from General Maisale. I think we should all thank him. And just before going on to my topic, I thought that that is such a great topic, and it actually impacts all aspects of our lives. And similarly, the topic that I am going to cover, again, if you look back in the last 50 years, if one were to segregate one particular field or sphere which has impacted our lives the most significantly, that would be information processing technology. And I'm calling it information processing technology so that it includes electronics, telecommunications, as well as computers. All these 3 things put together. And it has impacted, of course, was till the time we were affected by Corona. Now, actually, I think Corona has also added another dimension to it. And perhaps, that is one of the reasons why we are here on the call today. And this is one of the good spin-offs of Corona that is taking place, that we are getting together more often than the monthly Ajinkyan's meet that one used to have. So that's a good thing. But anyway, coming back to the topic, if you see, information technology has impacted each and every sphere of our lives. Whether you talk in terms of, just a second, I think I'll have to go back to that screen. Okay, not to worry. So this, these are little problems of technology, but what I'll do is, I think I will continue with, because I think only one screen at a time is possible to be shared. So instead, what I'll do is that I will continue with the presentation. Subsequently, I'll share this presentation with all of you. So little bit about, and I hope I'm audible to people because I'm not able to see the screen at the moment. Yeah, okay.
Yes, you're audible. You're audible.
Yeah, okay, great. So this particular presentation is being created by the Center for Cyber Security, Cyber Safety and Education with the help of various experts, cyber security professionals. This Center for Cyber Safety and Education is part of the International Information Security System Security Certification Consortium, which conducts a lot of certification examinations. So this is part of their CSR activity. So let us understand where we are with respect to the cyber world. Now, most of us that at our age, most of us, we are all, digital immigrants. And why I'm using this term immigrants is because unlike today's children who are born into the digital world, they are born into an interconnected world. We were not born so. We actually picked up these skill sets subsequently during our college or school or college education. So to that extent, we are digital immigrants, and whereas our children are born with technology and they would be classified as digital natives. But whether you are immigrant or a native, you need to, while the technology provides you a lot of facilities, it eases your way you go about doing various things in the world. There are a number of pitfalls also which come along with it, and it is beneficial to understand these pitfalls so that you can adequately take precautions to cover the risks which come because of these pitfalls. Now just take your mind back and see what do you use this technology for, the information technology or communication technology. What all things do you use it for? No, one, you would use it to connect with other people like we're doing now, or it could be in terms of using social media, Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, and the like, or LinkedIn for your professional communications. Second is you would be using it for mail facilities. It could be official mail, or it could be your personal mail. The third sphere which is impacted is your financial sphere. That is, you use it to carry out your banking activities, use it for doing online shopping. Also, people who dabble in share markets, they would be doing it online. So that is the financial sphere. Then next is the entertainment sphere. You look at, watching movies, playing games, and such like stuff. What all other things, people can take their mind back and see. In fact, in every sphere of life, every other vertical, information technology has pervaded. You talk in terms of, let's say, for instance, education. Now you have these learning management systems which are there. Most of these, there are online campuses of various big universities. You talk of hospitals, there is technology in the hospitals. You talk of your communication, that is the physical communication systems. So there you have this. So in all these cases, it is affording you a lot of convenience. But along with this convenience, there is the other aspect of your privacy and security, which you need to be very, very careful about. Yogesh mentioned about the paper security. Yes, that is important. But paper security, to ensure it was much easier because you had only one copy, or if you printed some n number of copies of a particular document, you knew each copy could be numbered and it could be delivered to people through physical couriers, and they could be accounted for. But whereas the same thing may not be possible in case of any documents which are distributed online. So, and that is as far as the adults are concerned. How about the children? It is very jokingly said that nowadays the children learn to scroll before they can crawl. And I have a grandson who's just about 3.5 years old. And, my daughter, she has on her tab, she has given access to there's something called the YT Kids, which is a YouTube specially for the kids. So now he can do everything from starting the tab to scrolling around to selecting the particular cartoon or video he wants to watch. And he, in fact, he even knows the password. He actually, at the moment, he really doesn't know the alphabets, all of the alphabet, but he knows the password and he can type the password also. So that's the kind of ease with which children handle it. But there are a number of things which can happen to children, such as, they can get cyber bullied. There can be identity thefts of children. So these are issues which at an appropriate age have to be conveyed to our children. And I'll speak more about it as we go along. Now, one insignificant thing which all of us need to remember is that once you decide to put something and you put something online, please remember that it is going to be online forever. It is, you may think that, okay, oh, I have a copy on my laptop or the device, mobile or whatever, and if you delete it, you're done. No, it's not like that. You may have shared it with some friends. There may be some copy of that lying in one of your backups. If your data is put on the cloud, it may be lying somewhere in the cloud. If you have shared it on social media and you have deleted the post, please remember that it is only deleted for you. Otherwise, as far as the company is concerned, social media company, it still resides on their servers. It's not deleted in toto. So therefore, before you put anything online, please remember this, that it is going to be there, remain there forever. Now let us come to certain terminologies which are used in the cyber world. There are things like the malware, phishing, cloud. Now, number of these technologies or the terminologies you would have heard, Wi-Fi, app. We'll discuss each of these one by one. What's a malware? Now, malware is any piece of software that does harm to your instrument. Basically, it comes there without your knowledge, surreptitiously, and thereafter it will facilitate exfiltration or deletion of some or most data from your instrument. And it covers a number of things in this malware. There are viruses, you will have trojans, there will be worms, there will be spy camps, and various such other stuff. So the best way to protect against this is to have an antivirus software installed on your instrument. And there are a lot of free antivirus softwares also. They do provide some amount of protection, but I would recommend that you go in for a paid service. It doesn't cost much. For laptops, for mobiles, it's in the range of around 4 and 500 rupees to 1,000 rupees. And likewise, even for laptops. So I would recommend that each one of you, for whatever devices you have, please go in for an antivirus software and keep it updated. That is the other thing. The antivirus is of no use if you do not update the signatures of the viruses. Because basically antivirus, what it is doing is that there are two ways which it tries to find viruses. One is by heuristics. That is by looking at the behavior. That is one way. The second way is to compare the codes on your instrument with the virus signatures. And these virus signature database is updated as and when new viruses are detected. And that database is published by the developers of the antivirus. So please ensure that it is downloaded every time a new update is published. And secondly, even for the antivirus software per se, or even the other other software such as the operating system or your internet browser or any other application software that which you may purchase, the developers of all these softwares would periodically publish security updates. These updates are basically meant to plug certain security vulnerabilities which are found in this software. So please ensure that as and when these updates are published, you download these updates and incorporate them into your system which is installed on your instrument. At this point, I'll also like to talk about Zoom. Since we are using Zoom today, there's been a lot of talk about the vulnerabilities of Zoom. I'd like to mention here that any software which is marketed today, I do not think there is any software which is 100% foolproof. Some may have vulnerabilities which are known. There may be other vulnerabilities which are unknown today, but may come to the fore going ahead. And therefore, the modus which is adopted by all these software developers is to go ahead and publish a version, and if that version does have some vulnerabilities, then they'll publish subsequent updates to cover those vulnerabilities so that the time to market is reduced. One. Secondly, there may be some vulnerabilities which are unknown to them at the time of publishing. So as and when they are revealed, they would work to plug those vulnerabilities and issue updates. So exactly the same thing is being done by Zoom. So Zoom per se is not a malware. It is a software which does have a lot of functionality. Yes, there are certain vulnerabilities. So therefore, the number of either the companies or business companies or some of the governments, they have instructed their employees not to use this software for official purposes. But I think for a forum like this, there's no harm in using Zoom software. Yes, there are a number of updates which are being published. Also, there are a number of tips which are being published by the developers of Zoom as to how you can further strengthen and protect your sessions. So I would request that those various tips that if on required the Dhanchati, you can discuss with me subsequently. I'll let you know. And those tips we should incorporate so that our sessions become more secure. Now let's get to the other. Let's get to the other behavior or other modus which is used by these hackers. That is called social engineering. Now there are various types of social engineering. The first one being phishing. So in phishing, basically what happens, it is a malicious attempt to acquire sensitive information by pretending to be a trustworthy source and using a fake bait to catch victims. So basically what is done is, like for instance, you might receive a mail purportedly from your bank, says that your password is of your account is going to expire on February 1st, and therefore you need to change your password. So please change your password by clicking on this link. Now this kind of mail will actually never come from your bank, because all of you would have noticed that what banks follow is generally that in case by chance your password expires, whenever you try to log in thereafter, after the expiry of the password, then you will not be allowed to go further unless and until you change the password. So that is generally the strategy which is followed by everybody. So none of them will, they may just send you a message that, okay, you change the password, but they will not provide you a link. So if somebody is getting a mail which says that, okay, you change your password by clicking the link here, please, dal mein kuch kala hai. That particular link which is given there, the name may appear to be of your bank, but look carefully, you may find one letter extra or one letter missing. And if you click on that link, you will land up on a hacker's website, and any password that you change thereafter automatically the hacker has your password. So please remember this. Then there are a number of scams, and a lot of you would have received such mails. There are mails which which depict fake emergencies. I am stranded here and I am without any money, so in case you can please help, I'm my son who's ailing from so and so disease is with me and I need to take him to hospital, so can you please transfer so much amount to so and so, so and so, so and so. Or somebody will give you a false promise saying that, okay, there is some there is a particular company whose shares have fallen to absolutely low level, and if you buy these shares now, subsequently you will stand to gain a lot. So for that, I will buy shares on your behalf, so please transfer some 10,000 rupees to me, and so that you will be able to make 1 lakh rupees in 1 month or 2 months. There may be some things about some inherited uh, inheritments. For instance, some prince, somebody he has died in state and he has left a fortune, so I can help you get a part of that fortune. Such like things. Or there may be that, okay, you have there is some so and so ticket was purchased from your mail ID and you have won a lottery, so please click on this link. No, it's like mails, or it could be in the form of even SMSs, or it could be in the form of WhatsApp messages. Please remember, never click on any such link. And the thing to remember here is that there is no free lunch in this world. Another way in which people will try to hoodwink you is somebody will call you and say that, oh, we are doing a remote check and I'm calling from Lenovo. Let's say if your machine happens to be Lenovo, so you'll say that I'm calling from Lenovo company and we are doing remote check of all Lenovo machines, and I find that your machine has a virus. So I am calling you to have to help you. So please go to so and so website and download a tool so that I can fix it for you. Again, don't fall prey to such mails. And by chance, suppose some of you happen to fall prey to any of this, then what you need to do is that first and foremost, remain calm, immediately change all your passwords, make a list of whatever information which was stolen, and track all your communications, where all you have been communicating. Notify the credit card companies, financial institutions, and contact your law enforcement. That is the best that you can do under circumstances. Informing the bank and credit card company is very, very important, because a number of times what happens is that the insurance which is there for such transactions, that insurance gets nullified if you do not report it within a certain amount of time. Whenever you're doing online shopping or banking, please make sure that you have landed on the correct site, and the name of the site you please check, because many times what will happen that if you do a Google search for that particular bank or a shopping site, then the Google may on top of the searches it may give the fake email ID of the bank or the commercial site. So please make sure that before you log in, that the name of the particular merchant site or the shopping site, wherever you're trying to log in, is correct. Then only log into that particular one. Then the other aspect is always you should question whatever you see. Sometimes you get a message via security alert. So if it is from the Windows, you can look at the bar on the top. That bar will not show the link to your own machine. It cannot be showing link to some HTTP or some website. because the website obviously will not be able to do this. So such like things you need to remember. Okay, now let us come to another aspect. A lot of us do traveling for business or maybe for pleasure. And in a number of cases, when you go to the airport or you go to any of these malls, you go to the railway stations, number of other places, you will find they will offer you Wi-Fi for free for the first 30 or 45 minutes. Please be cautious when you use such Wi-Fi's because they are open Wi-Fi's. They open Wi-Fi meaning the communication which is taking place between you and the Wi-Fi router. That particular communication is not encrypted, and thereby anybody around who is in a position to eavesdrop, he can capture whatever information you're transmitting on this particular link. And by chance, if you're doing any banking or you're logging into any of your emails, then be sure enough that the password for those sites may be compromised. Similarly, please do not do any purchase on open Wi-Fi. So if you want to just pass time, use that open Wi-Fi, but try and avoid it. Here I would also like to mention another point is that in most of our homes, all of us have Wi-Fi's. And generally, they have security. So when you step out of your house, please ensure that you switch off your Wi-Fi, because the way these instruments have been configured, they have been configured to try and connect. So the moment you are moving around and if there is another Wi-Fi which is available, immediately your instrument will try and establish a connection with that Wi-Fi. And in the bargain, it may share some information about your device with that particular Wi-Fi. So preferably when you move out, you should switch on your mobile data and you should switch off your Wi-Fi. Similarly, when you get back home, then thereafter you could continue with your mobile data, or if you want better speeds, etc., maybe then you can switch off the mobile data and switch on to the Wi-Fi. Similarly, Bluetooth. These are some things, again, Bluetooth is another technology which immediately, the moment it is on, it will try and connect. So therefore, unless and until you want to use it, please keep these options, the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth options, off. Coming to now another very important aspect, the passwords. We have talked about a lot of these sites where you need to have a password. So the thing about password to remember is that longer the better, but obviously very long password you cannot remember yourself. So you should have a password which is at least a minimum 8 characters, and there should be no repetitions in that, and you should have one alphanumeric and one special character also in that, and some uppercase, some lowercase, etc. Now sometimes people get confused कि यार मैं ऐसे password कोई बनाऊंगा बड़ा complex है, so how do I remember it? So therefore the trick to forming a password is to use a passphrase and then make a password by using the passphrase. So what is a passphrase? Passphrase, for instance, I go for a run 7 days a week. Now what you do is that from each of these words of the sentence, you pick up the first letter and convert it into a password. So that way you have made a password which is easier to remember for you, but difficult to guess for others. So that is as far as the password is concerned. Then secondly, wherever there is a two-factor authentication available, you should use it. What is this two-factor authentication? That is, once you are trying to log in, then it will also try and check. The website will try and check with you by another medium. Like for instance, you may get an OTP on your SMS, or you may get OTP on the email. And only once you can enter that OTP, then the site will allow you entry. So wherever, and most of the websites today, they are offering this two-factor authentication. And wherever it is offered, please use it. because that kind of makes it further difficult for anyone to break into your account. Now you may have number of passwords. There is one password for one bank. There is another password for another bank. There is a password you need to log into your computer. There is another password for your email ID. There is another password for your Facebook account. So again, the issue is how many so many passwords, how can you remember? So there are some applications which are available. They're called the password vaults. So what you can do is that you have a password vault, put all your passwords in that. It basically creates a table. So and so account and whatever your password you can write there, and then thereafter that vault you can lock it using one password created using the passphrase. So whenever you want to do any transaction, you go to that vault, pick up that password and use it. So that's the best way in which you can be sure about the security of your passwords. And the last aspect relates to, with all these precautions taken also, it is possible that you may lose your data. Your data may get compromised, of course, you can't help it, but the other aspect is to protect, that is, you may lose your data. Now, or supposing your machine gets infected with a virus and you need to do a total cleanup, then in that case, what happens? Where do you get your data from? Everything is lost. So for that purpose, it is important that you keep a backup. So daily, I don't know, daily may not be possible, but weekly, you should at least take a backup, so that in that case, what happens? That if by chance your machine was to get compromised and you had to clean up your machine and reformat it, then in that case, at least data up to 1 week back would be available with you. And for that, you should always use an external device, portable storage, external hard disk, connect karo, usse pe le lo, or put it on the cloud somewhere. So that is the way you should go about doing the backup of your data. Now, last aspect I'll cover about downloads and streaming. Now, this is another thing which all of us do. We like some music, don't want to pay for it. You want to watch movies, don't want to pay for it. So what we do is that we download from various applications such as these torrents softwares. A lot of such similar softwares would be there. Now, I mentioned earlier that there is nothing called a free lunch. So therefore, whenever you're downloading, it may say download for free, but what is happening? Most of these sites, the modus on which they operate, principle on which they operate is that when you ask for permission to download something, first there has to be a quid pro quo, that you give permission to that website to upload any software which is found or any other data which is found on your machine or either the mobile or laptop. So as you start downloading from the site, there is some amount of data which is getting uploaded from your machine. So therefore, please be careful and try and restrict your downloads to reputable sites and to paid sites. Now coming to social media. Now, as far as social media is concerned, like I mentioned there earlier also, that whenever you put any information on the net, it is going to be remain there forever. That is one aspect. Second, that you may feel that, okay, I am just putting a photograph. Photograph se kya farak padega? What will happen? Now, just stop and think, because your photograph actually may be revealing much more personal information than what you wanted. So you're on a vacation, you post a picture of yourself on your vacation. In the background, it is clearly giving the information that you are now presently at Kodaikanal, staying in one of the hotels. So if there is someone who's striking you, he knows that, okay, you're with your family on vacation in Kodaikanal. This is the right time to carry out a burglary in your house. And I'm not joking, such things have happened. Or maybe that your children are at home and you have gone for a movie. So your children are alone at home. Some stalker, somebody who's there's a guy who's stalking your child, no, this is the best time he would have to go and barge into a house. So therefore, please be very careful when you post pictures. Preferably, if you want to post pictures of your vacation, etc., post it after the vacation is finished, not while you are on vacation. Similarly, if you click photos with your mobiles, or even with your nowadays the cameras which are coming, so the camera has a facility. The mobile also has the facility of geotagging. It will automatically, if your location is on, it will automatically tag your photo that it was taken at so and so time at so and so place. So remember to deactivate when required, deactivate the geotagging of your photos. And like I mentioned for the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, the same thing you should do for your location also. The location facility in the mobiles, please keep it on only when it is required. If it is not required, deactivate it. Before another thing, this is about the social responsibility. If you are posting somebody else's pictures, then please ensure that you take that person's permission before you post the photo, because he may be more protective, he may be more private, and would not want his photos to be seen on the social media. So before I wind up, a few tips. Firstly, think before you click. Before you post any information, think, is it okay that I post it because it's going to remain forever? Is it going to is it going to compromise somebody's privacy or security? In that case, you should not post it. Antivirus, keep it updated so that and all other software, keep them updated so that your computer and mobiles and other devices remain protected. Backup your documents, create strong passwords, be careful on Wi-Fi connections, switch off your Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, location when not required, question the emails, download from proper sites, and do not post sensitive information on social media sites. And lastly, be mindful of any emails or fraud attempts that may come your way. So with that, I come to the end of my presentation, and now I am open to questions.
Yeah, sir, I have a question. Okay, everyone was talking about safety of Zoom meeting application. Okay, so what would be your suggestion? What would be your guideline? Okay, to use Zoom for the conferencing.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for your question. In fact, I think I did cover it briefly, but and Rajan is here. Rajan Kambete. We also talked it on the group a little while ago. I see. I like I mentioned. No, the sessions that we are having. So number one, there is nothing confidential that we are discussing on this session. So therefore, as far as the privacy of the session is concerned, I don't think there is any requirement. And therefore, if there is any vulnerability in Zoom as regards the privacy of the session, that's of no concern to us. Okay, number one. Secondly, in fact, even if you there are various tricks and tips to ensure that you can keep your session private. That is for the first trick is that the Zoom sessions, like for instance, now presently what you have done is that you have issued a recurring invite. So in that case, what happens is the password remains the same. So what happens is that anybody who happens to land up on this password, anytime your meeting is taking place, he can land up. So instead, what I would suggest is that whenever you have this session, instead of sending a recurring invite, for every individual session, you issue a new invite